Well, there, and welcome. And I hope you have time to stay with me for the next few minutes. You and I will have a chance to learn a lot. And I think, especially if we have children or family members that are involved in education in any way, I have a special lady here to talk about education and how we can do better and help our children when it comes to testing time and all that. We're going into all of this, and I'm very pleased to have her here. And before we introduce her, I just want to share something with you. It's kind of the beginning. We're turning over a page, and we're beginning another year. And I had a little something from the Los Angeles Times that I clipped out of the paper. And it's a New Year pledge. And it says, you don't need a crystal ball to make the projection about the future. Ditching the cigarettes is the single most important thing you can do for your health. So we're going to be positive today, and I just want to share that with you. And there are plenty of programs out there. If you are hooked on cigarettes or whatever, there are ways you can beat it, and it'll add years to your life. Now, I've given that little word from my heart. Now, I want to introduce Dr. D. Barnes, and I'm going to call you Delores.
Yes,
okay?
That's fine.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
it. Now, you
it.
are an educator. I would assume that is the way I would address you.
Yes, you can. I did teach. I did teach for the Westchester County School System as a homebound teacher, but I'm actually a podiatrist.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have a book called Mastering the Art of Test Taking.
Yes.
And how did you come to this?
Well, I struggled with test taking for years and years and years. Struggled through high school, graduated at the bottom of my class, and went on to college and almost flunked out of my first semester of college. And I would study in the library for hours and hours. And one of the people that worked there said, "You must be a straight A student." And I said, and I thought about it, I just smiled. I didn't respond.
Yeah.
But I thought about it and I said, well, why am I not a straight A student? I'm in here every day and I'm failing. I knew I was failing. And I said, there must be something that I'm not doing right. And I began to look at the people around me, the people that were playing football and doing all these other extracurricular activities where I couldn't do any extracurricular activities. All of my time had to be spent studying. And I realized that there's a method to taking the test and there's a way to study. And so once I realized that, I put it in a book and I started teaching students how to do it. And when I did, I saw them excel quickly. They didn't just take months and months and they got to become a better student. They became better students overnight by just applying the methods.
So you learned from your own experience.
Yes, from my own experience.
How to help others.
Yes, and then what I also learned was that, and when it comes to test taking, teach your children early. The parents and caregivers of kids should be taught early. I taught my daughter very, very early how to take a test. As a matter of fact, when she started walking and talking, I started teaching her how to pick the correct answer for things. And then when she got older, I would show her how to take tests. Like, you know, a lot of the states have these requirements where the students have to take these different types of tests.
And many times these kids get so frightened or so...
Oh, yes, yes, lots of
They're
anxiety.
able to do a lot more, but it doesn't show because they're frightened. It holds them back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, anxiety does, and that's in the book. I talk about anxiety, how to control it, and a lot of times, which people don't really realize, anxiety is really a figment of your imagination. It's real. It is real to you because your heart starts pumping fast, all kinds of things happen, your mind, you just can't think. But it's only what you make it to be, and you have to learn how to take that anxiety and sort of put it in a box. And so in the book, I talk about ways to control the anxiety. And one thing that you definitely have to do is be prepared, because a lot of times anxiety, the less prepared you are, the more anxious you're going to be on the exam. So I tell people, make sure you're fully prepared for the test. Make sure you get plenty of rest. I used to stay up all night. I used to, because you know why? Because I thought I would forget the information in the morning. So I would stay up studying all night long. And then when it was time to take the test, I was so tired I could not recall anything. And I would fail the exam. And now, you know, in the book, I also talk about what to do the day before the test, what to do 2 days before, and all of these things that I put in there that I'm talking about help you to control that anxiety so that when you get there, you're fully functional and you can recall the information. And what you have to do is you almost have to make it as, you almost have to make the test as if it's human and tell it, I'm going to beat you. It's like David and Goliath. You know, David knew that he was going to bring Goliath down, but Goliath was huge. Everyone was afraid of Goliath except David. And he had a plan. And he took that plan with him, which was his rocks. And that's what you have to do with test taking. You have to go into the test with a plan, and you have to bring it out. You have to bring those weapons out and use them on your test.
And that, of course, doesn't make up for that. You have to prepare and study.
Yes.
You can't just waltz into the room and think,
no.
you know.
No, and
you have to be prepared, and then you don't want to lose it.
Yes. You have to be prepared and ready to apply the information that you've learned. And this is the beauty of it. Anyone can do it. Any child can be a straight A student. I mean that, and the parents have to get the children to dreaming. And I tell people this all the time. A lot of times when a child doesn't have a dream or an idea, then they're wondering, well, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. Get them to dreaming about what they want to do and what they want to be. They'll go to school and be a top student. I always tell teachers, if you have to do it once a week, have the students to write down on a piece of paper what they want to be, like a teacher, put the little tag there. And for that whole day, they're a teacher. If they want to be a doctor, for that whole day, they're a doctor. You know, get them to dreaming about their future.
Beautiful.
And then they'll apply that in their test-taking abilities because they know what they want to do, they know how they want to do it, and now it's just a matter of getting there.
That is a terrific idea.
Yeah, have to do it because if we don't, it sort of stagnates the kids and they don't know what they want to be or what they want to do, and then they don't do as well. But when they have a dream, they'll soar. And make A's, that's the easy part, really. There's the making the A's. It's the mind. You have to have a mindset of what you want to do and what you want to be. So I want to be an A student, I'm an A student. And that's how you have to do it. Walk in that classroom as if you already have that A. Like when you take a test, most people don't realize it. When you take an exam, you have an A on that test before you put your name on it. You have 100. And it's up to you to keep it.
But that's only if you prepare yourself.
Absolutely. You have to be prepared. But most people that have that mindset are prepared. They're ready for it. They're ready to go and get that grade. And I always tell you, you got an A, you get an A, everybody gets an A. It's very easy. It's just a matter of applying. Once you apply yourself and you sit down and do it, it's very easy. Very easy. I found it to be almost laughable. As a matter of fact, I ended up with half the study time and better grades. Better grades.
All right, now, so this is the book.
Yes.
And I'll hold it, the Mastering the Art of Test Taking. Now, if you're a parent or a caregiver and all that, you want to help the child.
Yes.
Or the young person, so that when they reach the point where there's a test they have to take, that they're prepared.
Yes.
But you want to give them the confidence.
Right.
That they can do what is necessary.
Yes. Yes. And you want to get them comfortable with the situation, get them comfortable with taking tests. And that's why you have to give them tests to practice. There's so much out there. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as the internet or Google. Yeah. Now you can just hit a button and print a test out and they can practice. And the more they practice, the more comfortable they'll get with it. And I actually tell teachers that, you know how different states have the different tests that the kids have to take and they have to pass these tests. I tell them, I tell the teachers, go and print the test out, and when you make your test up, make it in the same format as the test that the state is going to give them. Not the same questions, because believe it or not, just changing the format of a test can cause a person to fail it, because they're not familiar with it. So if you see the format and the first questions are like multiple choice, and the second one is like an essay, and the third is like the math, how it's laid out, I would make my test up to make them almost look exactly like those exams. And then when the student goes and takes the actual one, they're familiar with the format and they're familiar with the layout, because that's extremely important.
Dr. Barnes, as an educator, I want to ask you, do you think that too much emphasis and stress is put on testing?
I do. I really do. And if they did that when I was in school, I don't know if I would have gotten out of school. But it's here, and I believe it's here to stay. And, you know, some parents are like, oh, I'm going to keep my child home. I don't like these exams. I don't agree with it, but because I know that there's nothing I can do about it, I just decided the best thing to do is to prepare my child for the test and make sure that they're ready to take these exams that they have that are coming. But I do think there's a lot of emphasis on it. There's so much emphasis on the test that I think sometimes the information that's given is for, you know, it sort of falls by the wayside because of the emphasis on the exams. But at the same time, I think that if there's some way to merge the two, then it would work for all of this testing. But all of these tests, and if you don't pass this test, you can't go to the next grade. I mean, that I remember when they had the high school graduation test, and if you didn't pass that test after going 12 years of school, you didn't graduate.
Yeah.
And so they still have different tests that you have to take. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty deep. But, you know, I didn't have to experience it, but since I know how you can get through it, I wrote the book to help people so that when they're getting ready to take these different types of tests, that they're going to be able to do it, because it's very complicated. I mean, that some going into adulthood, when these adults have to take these certification tests and things like that, it could cost them their whole career if they don't pass these exams.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back. And it's the art of test taking. And we all, sometime in life, we have to take a test. We'll be right back.